Watch out! Get back, get back, get back! Jesus! Her eyes!
The creatures of our movie are really the cranks, so these sort of inhuman, disease-ridden characters that are driven insane by the virus that they have in their brains.
We called it the flare, a deadly virus that attacks the brain. It is violent, unpredictable, incurable.
We tried to set something up in the first movie, basically, where you're left with these people who slowly are losing themselves and becoming something else. It tries to turn you into a walking host, essentially, for the virus itself.
The cranks and Scorch will essentially serve as our grievers in a way, and they're some more cranks.
Wow. They are hideous, and they get worse as you go in the movie.
Well, Wes wanted to make sure that for Scorch trials, the cranks weren't just zombies.
It's like we just want to be careful that we're not just doing this.
He wanted to make sure that there was some other implied thing going on.
Wes is a pleasantly innovative talent.
How's a good crank look?
Veiny and gross.
We started off with early tests. The cranks was the main focus thing, so we did a lot of different design for potential CGI characters, real puppets, with Wes chiming in and approving them and critiquing and asking us to change things. We just kind of evolved them as we shot them now maybe 20 times more. So we work with the wardrobe, the hair department, and ourselves.
Quite a look I got going on right here. I went back to Quasimodo, researched his development, because he's the master.
Trying to come up with some cool, almost spastic kind of movements that make them scary, and the sound design is really cool.
But just that little pop up, I think, really violent. You were closer on that one, I think.
It's something I think people can really fear and relate to, or at least understand, essentially, from a conceptual level. Because, our cranks that really are what James calls the far gone cranks, they're absolutely hideous. Full CG cranks can just make them thinner than they possibly could be, and have parts of their face missing.
I think from the very beginning we knew we were going to have cranks that were real humans with makeup and computer-generated cranks. We have early stage, we have a mid stage, we have a what we call 2 3/4 stage, and we have a third stage. 2 3/4 and third stage are all completely CG. All of our computer-generated ones are based on actual real human movement, though. Brenda struggles with one, and that it's a guy in a gray suit, and he's got markers on his gray suit. And Weta removes that guy in the gray suit and puts in their computer-generated crank. Pretty straightforward process, a lot of hard work.
Initially, going at it with testing, it was very laborious because we started off a little bit more ambitious because we knew there was going to be a final metamorphosis of CGI created living veins. If they had bacteria in their veins that turned them into like worms or parasites or something, and Wes didn't want that. I think he wanted to keep it a more subtle human touch because a lot of these characters in the story are suffering and they're still there, and you still know the guy who's your best buddy or your girlfriend. Wes didn't want that to be lost in something that was so horrible.
What's that smell?
We did a lot of research into bath salts and rabies and sort of things that truly destroy the mind and sort of seem to fill people with this sort of aggressive quality.
Sonia Hayes is our costume designer. She's extraordinary. She's really designed the look of the cranks.
Being a crank is really uncomfortable. So they kind of rip their clothes. All the clothes is used in the movie, but they're literally kind of like, doing this with the clothes. So depending on what stage they are, and slightly ripped, more ripped, and then very, very falling apart, because the people that are in a third stage, they are very sick and kind of are going mad.
The conversation that I had at the beginning with Wes, what kind of feeling he wanted to achieve with that. And then I was trying to figure out how to get there with with the clothes. So it's actually a lot of clothes because we are portraying that like the world has sort of ended. So we had to supply everything and dress everybody in order to achieve that look. And everything had to be dirty and ripped and stuff like that. So here we are in our aging, dying, distressing area with the cranks in the mall. That is probably the most distressing that we have done because they are ripped, and the idea was that the flare develops, that they start going crazy and kind of ripping the clothes off them and feeling of madness. They overdye the whole garments, and then here on this they hang them and they just pour the dye on them so that it just looks like part of the stuff was bleached on the sun, part of the got dirty. It's amazing, all different kinds of tools that they're using to achieve this special effect.
I see you've met our guard dogs.
The ante is up, certainly, with the makeup characters that we got to help create in the way of the cranks. The cranks evolve with this disease that manifests itself in different stages. It starts as a very, makeup stage, and it moves into what I think is the fun stages when we start doing prosthetic appliances.
Fell asleep and I woke up as a crank.
We have, prosthetic stuff where it's like we show the range of progression of this virus. Mark did a great job of this stuff and making it real.
And there are veins that are clumping like worms or snakes in a group. And then we started gluing down the veins we found to fit those patterns and painted along those lines.
There's veins popping out. Feel this, it feels weird. Does it feel cool? Yeah.
Well, that one is peeling. It's quite cool.
They would look like a burn blister.
It's my favorite one.
I always love to do this. Kind of give them the nice infected look.
We made our appliances out of very sheer translucent silicone. And what's great about these silicones that we have to work with today, as opposed to the opaque materials of the past, is that they look more like skin because light passes into them. They have a kind of a waxy quality.
We got our best makeups down to 2.5 hours for each one. It started out, and some of them as much as 1.5 hours at times for some of these characters.
Probably took 3+ hours. Seemed like we were in there for 1.5 hours or so. We took a lunch break and then we went back for another 1.5 hours.
We are now being turned into cranks. Thomas is having a dream sequence and he views some of his best friends as cranks.
All right, you ready? You ready? You want me to do it for you? All right. There you go.
Amazing.
Oh.
The key element was the contact lenses.
I put in contacts like once when I was in a boy band and they wanted me to wear contacts.
You were in a boy band?
I was in a boy band. But now I'm not. Now I'm a crank and I have to put contacts in and I'm kind of freaking out.
Try to relax. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
Is it in?
Yeah. I have a translucent gray fence on my eyes.
But there's nothing in my right eye besides the contact, right?
Correct.
All right, well, let's commit. Go hard or go home.
Come on, let's get it.
So
I'd rather go home.
Relax. All the way towards your nose.
One more.
If you'd like to, yeah.
I'm just a little punk. I've never put in, I've never put anything in my eyes before. So.
I'm gonna be probably like you. I'm gonna be awful.
No, it's just right.
I got
right. No.
Did I get it?
No.
We knew that the last stage of infection will be a full digital creature. So the previous stages were what were relegated to practical makeup.
This is just to give the real nice effect of sick, very, very tired kind of look.
The wardrobe would rip a big giant hole on Wes's request. So we'd have to jam in there and throw some kind of a spattering or suggested marbling, like death marbling.
It was kind of a mutual kind of collaboration. They had appliances and then sometimes they would tell us where they want to apply. Obviously we would usually leave the face and the neck open. And then the rest of the body would be kind of, okay, let's put it here, or, oh yeah, look, we have a huge hole on the clothes, put it here. So it was kind of a collaboration.
We're taking the cranks even in a way further direction than even what James did. Still trying to hold on to the spirit of what James kind of created. Yeah, it's a kind of an interesting little monster.
What's scary about the cranks is you can't reason with them, and they're super aggressive and violent. It's sort of real because they're right there, you know, and it's certainly more violent because there's a lot more interaction with our guys and the cranks.